The reason why they're doing this is because the government want to silence the people in this country who have had enough of mass uncontrolled immigration. Europe want mass immigration. The West want it, Canada, Australia. And people are starting to speak out. And when they saw those votes coming in for the Reform Party, they got scared. They got worried. And now they're doing everything to silence us.
Yeah.
That's what's happening here. They'll forget dogs. That's just the first step. They'll just...
Are they going to move on to cows?
No, they'll just immediately arrest people and sentence them at some point because they don't like what's happening. People are getting fed up with this mass uncontrolled immigration.
But, I mean, this is your opinion. Obviously, there are people out there who would say we need mass uncontrolled immigration because, for example, if you're a landlord, it pushes up rental prices.
Or if you're...
or if you've got a business, then
yes.
you can have cheap workers for your business, and it destroys the power of the unions, destroys
but our quality of life is getting worse as a result. I don't care about GDP. Our quality of life is getting worse. I grew up in the 90s and 80s. There was no waiting lists for anything. You could get a parking space, you could get on the housing market, your child could get into the local school. The quality of life has deteriorated. When I ask people, what has mass immigration done for you? They really struggle. They say GDP. Of course, landlords, property developers have made a lot of money from it, but they are in the minority. The vast majority of people, their quality of life has eroded.
Yeah.
It has, as a result of...
And we've seen that in some of the towns that saw the rioting, like these northern towns, Rotherham, Rochdale, the places that have some of the awkward history with immigration. They've actually seen in the last 10, 20 years, they've seen unemployment and people claiming incapacity benefit. The number of people claiming, the percentage of the population claiming, is actually going up. So, the economy's not thriving as a result of...
But going back to the sentences for things like gesticulation, dancing, jeering and screaming, or whatever you want to call it, we are told constantly that we have no room in prisons for proper offences, whether they be violence by virtue of murder or sexual offences or any of that. There's cases in Scotland where people have been convicted of sexual crimes and they haven't even been given community service. So my point would be that it's kind of like, OK, I understand that they want to make their voice heard. We won't tolerate this and we won't do that. But are you going after low-hanging fruit?
Well, and also they're clearing the prisons out of people. There's a guy who's involved in a machete murder who only served 6 months in the end, and they let him out of jail early so they could make space for somebody who'd sent a fruity meme. And yes,
the bingo now.
Yeah, well, back to these guys. I mean, at least these people were actually present at a riot. The bingo guys were actually at a riot. Other people have been jailed for sharing memes on social media. 51-year-old Lee Joseph Dunn was handed an immediate 8-week jail term for 3 Facebook posts showing such things as a group of men, Asian in appearance, at Egremont Crab Fair in 2025. It's quite a niche, specific place to be, with the caption, "Coming to a town near you." Now, I don't see what's wrong with this, apart from the fact that they're Muslim at a shellfish fair, so I think that's against their religion to eat shellfish. But the fact that we're having Asian men coming to these towns is factually correct, with immigration soaring to new highs, thousands of men coming across the channel in small boats, and the government's Operation Scatter policy ensuring that these new arrivals are spread across the country. It's simply a matter of fact that, this is likely to happen. The Muslim Council of Britain even point out that fully a third of population growth in the UK is Muslim. Muslims have more kids, and obviously there's high immigration from Muslim countries coming to the UK. Britain's future is as a Muslim country. Obviously, I think this is a good thing and very enriching, because I don't want to go to jail. But we can't deny that it's happening. Another man was convicted for social media posts after a court was told they contained anti-establishment rhetoric. So we're not allowed to criticise the establishment now? And people on the left who spread misinformation haven't been prosecuted, such as Labour's Jess Phillips or Hope Not Hate, who spread inflammatory hoaxes about acid attacks on Muslim women by white men and 100 far-right protests. Jess has at least apologised. And let's take a look at some other sentences for other people who engaged in sectarian violence. The Golders Green supermarket knife attacker avoided prison altogether, and Muslim men who drove through Jewish areas shouting rape threats, threatening to rape Jewish daughters, had their charges dropped. Now, Hope Not Hate's boss spread a dangerous rumour that could have incited violence, but they're not arrested. Is this more evidence of a two-tier approach? The fact that they're not arrested, but somebody who shares different memes, if they've got a different political persuasion, even if they're less inflammatory, does get arrested and does get sent to jail. Two-tier
policing, two-tier reporting, two-tier sentencing, two-tier outrage. This goes on. Where are all these stand against racism mob when it comes to Jews being attacked?
Yeah.
Why don't they care about them?
Weirdly, it seems to be a fashionable racism amongst the sort of woke progressive types who are normally...
It's a trend, yeah. I know. I feel, it's terrible, and it's just more evidence that there's this two-tier everything now.
Yeah.
It's like the whole thing. It's like, everyone's outraged about what's happening in Gaza, but they're not outraged about what's happening in Sudan or Yemen or Syria. That's fine. Let's get outraged about this. Two-tier outrage, two-tier sentencing. This is a big problem. I think we're really getting split as a nation now.
Yeah.
And I don't put everything down to immigration. I believe that what you said at the beginning, like there are a lot of Muslim people coming over. I don't think it's just Muslim. I think they just want people from the third world, wherever it is. It might be India, which is not a Muslim country. They want people from the third world so that our expectations and our quality of life deteriorate, so we don't expect the same amount. Because if you bring the third world here, you have the third world sort of expectations that they have.
Well, is there an issue with...
That's not racism, by the way. That's not because the people are a certain colour. That's nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
It is from,
obviously a lot of people
does not have what we have.
Yeah, and a lot of people come here and integrate. My uncle is Indian, and he came here, and he's one of the most patriotic, proud to be British.
This has nothing to do with race. Zero to do with race. This is to do with culture.
Yeah, and I think this is exposing the sort of failure of multiculturalism. I think, Tony Blair had this dream that, we can make Britain into this melting pot of people. But in fact, it perhaps would have been better managed. We would see less sectarian violence and less interethnic conflict if people had been encouraged to be British and sign up to British values.
But I think Tony was against that, yet he was up for war crimes.
He was a complex man.
I think that's the thing, that there doesn't seem to be consistency across the board.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And moving on, a judge in Belfast said that he'd lock people up even if they were just observing the riots. Never mind the right to protest. In Britain, you don't even have the right to observe a protest. We've got facial recognition, the internet being monitored and policed, and people being locked up for observing protests, arrestees subjected to public humiliation. You might be thinking, Keir is turning us into communist China, an unchallengeable autocratic regime that clamps down hard on civil liberties and jails dissidents. Laws so vague and broad that everyone has broken them. So then the state can pick and choose who to punish for breaking those laws. And everyone lives in fear of them. But one crucial difference between the Labour Party and the Chinese Communist Party is that China does all this surveillance and monitoring and policing of its people to enhance patriotism and national unity. Whereas Keir is trying to destroy patriotism and national unity. Now, Labour are slumping in the polls. Do you think this has played out badly for Keir?
I don't know if it's played... I mean, I suppose it's early days with them being in government and all that kind of stuff. But, people got Labour in for a reason, and polls fluctuate.
I don't think it was this reason, though.
No, I
think the reason they got Labour in was because they're not the Tories. Yeah. And I think we've had about a month of Labour, and now we're like, could we have the Tories back, please?
What's the difference between the two?
Well, I think the Tories...
The Tories at least pretend
chaos.
They're doing something.
The Tories have this chaos, but at a slower pace.
At a slower pace, I agree. And they pretend. They say, we're doing something about immigration, and they're not. Whereas Labour is just matter of fact, we're going to just, we're going to give all the housing to the immigrants and put them before British people who have paid into the system. But at least they're honest. You know what? At least Labour are transparent. They're honest.
Well, I don't think Labour have actually said that. But that's certainly a perception that a lot of people have. I
think it was Angela Rayner who has said. I get confused with them. It's one of the women, and they've said that they're going to rehouse a lot of the migrants, and they're going to put them before British people on the waiting list.
They've got Operation Scatter, so they're going to spread them across the country to make sure every borough.
At least they were saying, look, we're going to F you know, so be careful. We're going to screw you, okay?
They're ideologically committed to open borders, whereas the Tories just wanted open borders so their businesses could have cheap labour and, you know, fixed asset prices would rise, property prices would rise.
That's the whole thing. I was speaking about it at lunch today with friends, and they didn't understand. So I know a lot of gay men, there's a surprise, that all vote Tory, and they're like, but how can they? Because of, you know, Section 28 and stuff. I said, because they're all business owners.
Yeah.
So they all think about that. That's why they don't have any truck with it. So, I agree. You know, Tories like to look after themselves.
Yeah, they do.